worked night security at a small hospital on the outskirts of town. Nothing dramatic. Mostly empty hallways, flickering fluorescent lights, and the constant hum of machines, keeping people alive while the rest of the city slept. My shift always ended at exactly 3:30 a.m., and for almost 2 years, my routine never changed. Clock out, grab my jacket, walk 6 blocks to the bus stop on Maple Street. Same route, same silence, same cracked sidewalks and broken streetlights. I like the predictability. Night work messes with your head and routines keep you grounded. That night felt wrong from the start. When I stepped outside the hospital, the air felt heavy, thick, like a storm was coming, even though the sky was clear. No wind, no distant traffic, just silence so deep it felt artificial. As I turned the corner toward the bus stop, I saw headlights. The bus was already there. That alone was enough to stop me in my tracks. The night bus never arrived early, ever. If anything, it ran late. I checked my phone out of habit. 3:27 a.m. 3 minutes early for me, 10 minutes early for the bus. The engine was running, lights on, doors open. I stood there longer than I should have, staring at it, waiting for something to make sense. I almost turned around and called a rideshare, but exhaustion won. I told myself I was overthinking it. I stepped onto the bus. The driver didn't look at me. He sat completely still, hands gripping the steering wheel like he was afraid to let go. His posture was stiff, unnatural, like a mannequin posed too carefully. I paid my fare. The machine beeped too loudly in the quiet. As I walked down the aisle, a chill ran through me. Every seat was empty. No slumped bodies, no sleeping passengers, not even someone pretending to be asleep. Just rows of fabric seats staring back at me. I sat near the middle, close enough to the door to feel safe. The doors closed with a sharp hiss. The bus pulled away. A few seconds passed in silence before the driver spoke. "You shouldn't be riding tonight." His voice was low, strained, like it hurt to talk. I laughed, a weak, automatic reaction. "Night shift," I said. "Not much choice." He didn't respond. We drove in silence for about a minute before I realized something else was wrong. We weren't following the route. Instead of turning left toward downtown, the bus turned right onto a narrow, poorly lit road that led away from the city. Trees closed in on both sides, their branches arching overhead like ribs. I stood up, heart suddenly racing. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "This isn't the right way." The bus didn't slow down. That's when the driver looked at me through the rearview mirror. His eyes were red, bloodshot, wide with panic. He looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. "I already called it in," he whispered. "They said not to stop." My mouth went dry. "Called what in?" I asked. He swallowed hard. Before he could answer, bright headlights appeared behind us, too close. They flooded the bus with white light, so intense I had to shield my eyes. Whoever was behind us was riding our bumper. No horn, no siren, just silent pressure. The driver cursed under his breath and slammed his foot down. The bus lurched forward, engines screaming in protest. It felt wrong, like the vehicle wasn't built to go that fast. The walls rattled. The windows vibrated. I grabbed a pole to keep from falling. My phone buzzed in my hand. No signal. The headlights stayed with us. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. The road twisted deeper into darkness. No houses, no street signs, just endless trees and that relentless glow behind us. "What is happening?" I yelled. The driver didn't look away from the road. "They found me," he said quietly. "I wasn't supposed to be driving." The headlights suddenly cut out, just gone. The darkness that followed felt even worse. The bus slowed. Finally, it came to a stop. The doors opened with a soft hiss. "You get off here," the driver said, his voice barely above a whisper. I stepped down onto the pavement. There was no bus stop, no sign, no shelter, no lights. Just an empty road stretching into blackness. When I turned back, the driver was staring straight ahead again. The doors closed. The bus drove away. I ran. I didn't stop running until I reached a gas station nearly 2 miles down the road. I locked myself in the bathroom and stayed there until sunrise. The next day I checked the transit schedule. There had been no bus assigned to that route at that hour. I called the transportation office. After a long pause, the woman on the line asked me to repeat the bus number. When I did, her voice dropped. "That bus hasn't been in service for weeks," she said. "The driver was reported missing." I asked how long ago. 2 weeks, she replied. "His bus was found abandoned on a back road. Engine still warm." I still take night shifts, but I never take the bus anymore. And sometimes when I walk past that stop at 3:27 a.m., I swear I see headlights waiting for someone else. I live alone in a small studio apartment on the 3rd floor of an old building downtown. It's nothing special, one room, a narrow kitchen, thin walls. But it was affordable, close to work, and most importantly, quiet. At least, it used to be. The first signs were so small I almost feel stupid admitting I noticed them at all. A cabinet door slightly open when I was sure I'd closed it. A chair not pushed in all the way. The shower curtain pulled halfway back instead of tucked neatly to the side. I blamed routine, long shifts, lack of sleep. When you live alone, there's no one to contradict your memory, so doubt comes easy. Things escalated slowly. One evening I came home and smelled food, something warm and greasy like instant noodles. I hadn't cooked in days. The trash was empty. The stove was cold. I opened a window and forgot about it. Then one night, around 2 a.m., I woke up. Not suddenly, not in a panic. I just opened my eyes and I heard breathing. Deep, slow, controlled. It wasn't coming from beside me. It wasn't my own chest rising and falling. It sounded like it was coming from somewhere near the kitchen. I held my breath and listened. The breathing stopped instantly. That scared me more than if it had continued. I stayed frozen for what felt like an hour, staring at the ceiling, convincing myself it was pipes, neighbors, the building settling. Eventually, exhaustion dragged me back under. The next morning, I checked every corner of the apartment. Nothing was missing. Doors were locked. Windows secure. Still, something felt off. Like I was being watched even while alone. That's when I bought a cheap security camera. Nothing fancy, just one that connects to my phone. I aimed it at the kitchen and part of the living area, making sure it could see the front door. I felt ridiculous setting it up. That night I went to work. Around 1:50 a.m., my phone buzzed in my pocket. Motion detected. I frowned. No pets, no open windows, no reason for movement. I opened the app. At first, the camera showed nothing unusual. Then the image refreshed. Someone was standing in my kitchen. He was tall. Too tall to be comfortable in the frame. Barefoot. Wearing dark clothes that blended into the shadows. His head was slightly tilted like he was curious. He wasn't moving. He was staring straight into the camera. I dropped my phone. When I picked it up again, my hands were shaking so badly, I almost couldn't unlock it. The feed was still live. He was closer now. I called the police immediately. By the time they arrived and searched the apartment, he was gone. At first, they thought I was mistaken, until one officer noticed scratch marks inside my closet. The back panel wasn't flush with the wall. They pulled it away. Behind it was a narrow crawl space, not on the building plans. Inside, they found blankets, empty food wrappers, a bottle of water, and a phone charger plugged into an outlet I didn't know existed. The realization hit me all at once. Someone had been living there, listening to me sleep, watching me leave, waiting. The police took my statement. They checked neighboring apartments. No one saw anything. No one heard anything. The man was never found. A week later, I asked to see the footage again. The officer hesitated but handed me the tablet. That's when I noticed something I'd missed before. The timestamp. The video showed him entering the crawl space at 2:14 a.m. I was already home at that time. I was in bed. I don't remember falling asleep that night, and sometimes when I lie awake in a quiet room, I still listen for breathing that isn't mine. My parents' house is old, built sometime in the late 1940s. It's one of those places that creaks no matter how still you stand, where every sound has an explanation if you really want one. I grew up there, so none of it ever bothered me. That weekend, my parents were out of town, and I volunteered to stay behind to watch the house. It wasn't a big deal. I'd slept there hundreds of times growing up. The first night was normal. I ordered takeout, watched TV, and let the familiar sounds of the house settle around me. Floorboards popping, pipes knocking, wind brushing against the siding. At 11:47 p.m., my phone rang. No caller ID. I frowned but answered. I assumed it was a spam call or a robocall that slipped through. At first I heard nothing, then I realized what I was hearing wasn't silence. It was breathing, slow, controlled, and unmistakably human. The sound made my stomach drop, because it wasn't coming through the phone like a call normally does. It sounded close, too close, as if the phone was amplifying something happening in the same room. Before I could speak, I heard my own voice, breathing, then whispering, "Don't turn around." My entire body locked up. I was sitting on the couch. The hallway behind me led to the bedrooms and the basement door. The lights were off back there. Just a long black stretch of nothing. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. My mouth went dry as I forced myself to speak. "Who is this?" The line crackled with static. Then the voice answered, not mine this time, lower, closer. "I'm already here." The call ended. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my keys, unlocked the door, and ran outside barefoot. I didn't even bother closing the door behind me. I called the police from the driveway, pacing in the cold, staring at the dark windows, like I expected someone to appear. They arrived quickly and searched the house top to bottom, every room, every closet, the basement, the attic. Nothing was missing. No broken windows, no forced entry, no signs anyone had been inside. One officer asked if I might have imagined it. I almost believed him, until the older officer asked a strange question. "Do you still have a landline here?" I told him yes. My parents never disconnected it. The phone sat on a small table in the hallway. He went inside and came back holding the receiver. He didn't say anything, just handed it to me. The line was off the hook. The officer explained quietly that when they arrived, the landline was still connected, active, open, like someone had just hung up. I spent the rest of the night at a friend's house. Before my parents came back, I returned once more during the day to grab my things. In the hallway, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. Dust marks near the wall, like someone had been standing there for a long time, facing the couch, facing me. I never stayed in that house alone again, and to this day, whenever my phone rings late at night with no caller ID, I don't answer, because some calls don't come from outside the house.